Scott Demsky earned his Doctor of Arts in Mathematics at the University of Miami. He had a 25-year career in software development at IBM and has been a professor of mathematics at Broward College and Kaiser University for the last 10 years. He received his cantorial training from Rabbi Cantor Neil Blumolf of Congregation Agudas Achim in Austin, Texas, and Cantor William Lipson of Beth David Congregation in Miami, Florida. Prior to joining Temple Beth Am, Scott served as cantorial soloist at B'nai Torah Congregation and Congregation Shahari Kodesh in Boca Raton. Scott enjoys spending time with his wife, Yvonne, his daughter, Eva, who is beginning her junior year in college. Temple Beth Am Programming is proud to present Scott Demsky.
Thanks, Judy. I want to just tell everybody, first of all, I want this to be an interactive discussion, and I know Ken's going to help on that by controlling, giving people opportunity to talk and voice their opinion. So I started actually doing this kind of high holiday tune-up when I was at Charter.
Oops, I think I just got Scott. Scott, unmute yourself, I'm sorry.
Okay, I think I'm back.
You're back.
I started doing this kind of high holiday tune-up when I was at Shari Kodesh in Boca, and it was always received pretty well. I always like getting immersed in the tunes of the holidays and getting people sort of re-familiarized with them. And I think the more we know about the tunes and the structure of the service, it just makes everything in the services more meaningful for everybody. And at least that's how it works for me. So so I'd like to start with so I'm going to share my screen and talk about the first topic. So let me see if I can get this working. Okay, does everybody see that?
Here we go. Yeah, we're good.
We're good, Ken?
Yeah, we're good.
So, so we're going to start with a little bit of a music lesson. Again, I know many of you know more about music, some less. But typically in music, there's two very important modes. One is called major, and one is called minor. So major sounds like this. This would be a major scale. It would be da 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 da. And it's typically associated with happy sounding things. Whereas minor tends to be used for things that sound, again, generally, and this is a vast generalization, but generally more sad or serious. And minor sounds like da 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 da. So composers of music tend to try to use major for happier sounding things, and minor for slightly more serious or sad or kind of events. So I want to look at 4 tunes that I think we're all pretty familiar with in the High Holiday liturgy, and I want to do the very first tune that we actually hear at the start of Rosh Hashanah Eve, Erev Rosh Hashanah. So before I even sing it, I want to maybe I'll ask this question first, because whether it's major or minor, tell me a little bit. So this is where I'm going to look for some opinions, and again, maybe Ken, you can look for raised hands.
Okay.
Tell me how you feel at the start of Rosh Hashanah. Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling serious? And what would an appropriate kind of tune be for this particular occasion, for the start of Rosh Hashanah? Any thoughts?
Jane, unmute. I got Jane.
It's happy anticipating the start of the holiday.
Okay, so Jane thinks happy. I'm gonna mark happy here. Why do you feel it's happy, Jane?
Well, Rosh Hashanah, we're celebrating It's a very joyous occasion. It's upbeat. We're getting ready for a more serious time further on in the high holidays.
Okay, and in fact, I'm going to even say, you know, what the typical American greeting, right, would be Happy New Year, right? Or
Yeah.
for Rosh Hashanah, right? So let's see if Jane's right. Here's the traditional nusach, the traditional tune for the opening of the service on Rosh Hashanah. It goes da 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 da. Da 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 da. So do you all agree? Is that maybe you could, I don't have the, we don't have the poll for this, but do you think that's happy sounding? Is that a major sounding tune? Everybody think so? Yeah.
I think it combines both because it's all the things that Jane said, but it's also the beginning of the contemplation of the previous year, as well as moving into a more solemn holiday down the road.
And I think yeah, that's again, there's really no right or wrong answers here. And I think Mark, your comments are definitely you know, spot on. There will be some more serious occasions and serious melodies that go with certain parts of the service we're going to talk about later on. But it turns out that and I don't actually know who composed that tune. I don't know how old that tune is. It's probably pretty old. But maybe that's something I can look into for next year. But it actually is a major tune, signifying, as Jane said, the joyous occasion, the Happy New Year. I think another thing that I always think about is we're positive to have reached this season. And just to show you, this is what the tune would sound like if it, same tune, but if it had been written in minor, this is what it would sound like. And I don't think it would make us feel as good, but here's what it would sound like. It would be da 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 da, et cetera, et cetera. So much sadder sounding, right? Doesn't have that sort of bright, joyous feel that we want to commemorate for the start of the High Holiday season. So let's move on to the next tune I picked. So this was the start of Rosh Hashanah. In fact, again, Erev Rosh Hashanah. If you go to the end of services, on all of the morning services, and that includes both Rosh Hashanah and I think Yom Kippur. Rabbi, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We have the prayer Hayom Tamseinu. So I'm going to actually turn to that one so I can sing it with all the right words. Okay. So here's Hayom Tamseinu. Again, you don't have to have a Moxer, by the way, but if you do, it's on page 170. And I always have thought of this prayer. It's very fun because we sing it to a very upbeat tune. So in this one, this time, let's hear the tune first, and then I want you all to think about it. Tell me whether you think it's major or minor, and also your thoughts about the meaning of the prayer and whether the music fits the words. Okay. So so here's how it goes. Hayom, 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 Tamseinu, amen. And then second part of the tune goes, hayom, 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 Tamseinu, amen. So, volunteer to tell me whether you think this is major or minor, and maybe some supporting thoughts about whether it's happy or sad and how this makes you feel. Any comments?
I do not see any. Hang on. Frida, unmute.
Anyway, somehow or other I lost it, but obviously it sounds like it's a happy song. I have to go, my computer just went off, so I can't see you anymore, but obviously it sounds like, I don't know if I'm still on here.
We hear you, Frida.
You're on.
Oh, okay, so you can still hear me, but obviously it sounds happy, and it's the end of the service, so I would say that we're happy that we've had this service, and we're looking forward to, you know, the new year. It certainly sounds like happy to me.
So here's what it would sound like. Let me see. Let me try to do this. I don't know if I practiced this one so much. Here's what it would sound like in the alternate mode. We haven't determined yet whether it's major or minor, right? But here's the original again, right? The way we normally sing it. I might try to lower the key too a little bit. Hi-yom, 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 te-yom, say-nu, amen. Here would be the other mode. Hi-yom, 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 te-yom, say-nu, amen. Which one sounds happier?
They both sound happy.
Well, which one sounds happier? I think so. Well, I'll reveal it to you. The way we normally sing it, in fact, I'll go ahead and mark it up here. The tune is actually in minor. The tune is in minor. The hi-yom, 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 hi-yom. Because da 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 da. That's the minor scale. Da 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 da. Hi-yom, 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 hi-yom. So why would this be in minor? Does anybody have a thought on that? And you might want to, if you do have a Machzor, you might want to look over at the translation, or if you can just translate it, you know, yourself. But well, how about if I read the translation? So I have it here in front of me, right? The translation is, strengthen us today, bless us today, exalt us today, seek our well-being today, inscribe us for a good life today, lovingly accept our prayers today, hear our plea today, sustain us with the power of your righteousness today. So really, what's the central theme of this prayer?
Well, we're asking God to help us, but it still
Yeah,
sounds happy to me.
It's a plea, right? It's a plea, like Rita just said. We're asking God for things, right?
But it still seems happy.
And I agree, and I think we all love the tune when we get to it. It's fun, but I think the reason that the composer of this tune said it in minor is because they realized that it's a plea, and we're never sure, you know, when we ask God for things, if we're really going to get them, right? Are we going to be inscribed in the Book of Life in the coming year? So I think it's set in the minor to be more consistent with the words, and even though it is a happy tune, I mean, maybe some people think it's happy because we've reached the end of the service and you get to go home and have lunch, right? But in all seriousness, as a plea, I think it's very appropriate that it be said in minor, right? So any other thoughts on the Hayom Tamseinu from anybody? I think Jane has her hand up.
The first obviously is happier, but am I unmuted?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. But I also think that the Amen part is like even more upbeat because we're so hopeful of all that the year will bring all these good things we're asking God for, and that joint Amen is extremely upbeat, I think, and hopeful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we're trying to really affirm that these things will happen, right? Okay, let's go on to one of my favorites, and that's one again everybody knows really well, right? The confessional, Ashamnu. Let's see, page 235, if you want to look at it in your Machzor. Let's start this one again with maybe a little bit of your thoughts about the Ashamnu, the confessional. What are your thoughts about it? Should it be a happy moment? Should it be a serious moment? And then we'll talk about how it gets reflected in the music. But any thoughts first about how you feel about the occasion? I think Sandy and Paul have their hand raised.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're telling God all the terrible things we've done. This is not a happy time. This is, we're sad and serious about this.
So would you say if you were composing this that you would put it in a minor?
Right.
Okay. Other thoughts? Mark has his hand raised.
Yeah, well, being the contrarian, I think that it's kind of upbeat in that it's a release. It's, the community, we're all confessing to God at once. Here's the things we did. It's getting it off your chest after carrying it around. And it's kind of an upbeat thing, even though the things you're saying are bad.
Okay, so we have differing opinions, right? And although, by the way, both opinions I think are totally fine. In the music, there's only going to be one right answer, right? So let's hear the music and then see what you think about major, minor, happy, sad. Okay. So here's how it goes, right? Ashandu Bagadu Gazandu Ibarnu Dopi So which is it? Anybody? Major or minor? What do you think?
Unmute, Les.
I would say that was minor.
Right here.
Because, yes, because we may be pleading and admitting to our guilt, but you really feel like your head's on the chopping block, and you're hoping that by repenting and admitting your guilt, that your repentance to follow will be accepted.
Again, these are all great thoughts, but let's see how it's borne out in the music. This is what the other mode would sound like, right? So I just sang the way we sing it a moment ago. This is what the other mode would sound like.
That's definitely minor.
That's a minor, right? But it's a
That was
major.
minor. So
That's
the
what-
way we actually sing it, I'm going to delete this one now. The way we actually sing it is in major, right?
Yes.
It's in major. So I think what the composers of that were focusing on, I think it was Mark, you talked about the communal confession.
Mhm.
So I think that, and that's one of the words that I have written down here in my notes. The Ashamnu is not an individual confession, right? It's a communal confession. So I think that makes us all feel sort of good about being able to get together and do this renewal, right? It's an annual renewal. And we're happy to have the opportunity to repent, right? And opportunity to repent, right? So we get together as a congregation, we sing this together, and we're all hopefully renewed for another year. And I hope this is not too sacrilegious, but if you were to just suppose that you had never heard this tune before, right? I know that's hard for all of us. But suppose you had never heard this tune before. By the way, the reason I keep looking to the right is that's where you all are in my pictures, so I see you. But if you had never heard this tune before and you walked into a room and you heard a bunch of people going, what would you think of? Does anybody have what you just heard that tune, right? What would you
An
think would
Irish
be going
brogue.
on in that room?
A
An
drinking
Irish
song.
brogue.
Who said it?
I said a drinking song.
Exactly. That's what I hear, right? I hear like an Irish or or Scottish drinking song. Now I don't know who wrote this tune, but maybe that's what I'll do for next year is we'll look up some of the sources of these tunes and see who wrote them and maybe get a little bit of their why. But it's a very, very happy tune, and I think it's very telling that we use it for the confessional. Very interesting. Does anybody else have any thoughts on the tune and the particular prayer and what we're doing?
Sandy and Paul have their hand up.
Go ahead.
Unmute.
It's a major kvetch.
That's good. Do we have that?
But
And it's traditional. I'm looking at the music.
Our choir music from our synagogue up here says it's a traditional tune. Does not attribute it to a composer.
And that might just mean that nobody knows who wrote it.
Right.
That's usually what that means. Yeah.
There's no attribution.
Right. Okay. So thanks everybody for your thoughts about that. And let's have our last one of these be the Kol Nidre, which is clearly one of the best known tunes of the High Holidays. So maybe for this one, I think this one's going to be pretty obvious to most everybody, but let's see how this would start. Right, this starts out. Kol Nidre v'sarai v'chabarei So, do we all agree this one is minor, right? This one pretty sad sounding, right? Or maybe not sad, but definitely serious. And my thoughts now about this are we've really reached the serious time of the season, and anything other than a tune in minor or a very very serious sounding tune would definitely be inappropriate. Other thoughts about the seriousness of this tune and why it sounds the way it does?
Go ahead, Jane.
Hi, Scott. I believe the composer of that particular piece of music was a famous German composer, Max Bruch.
No, actually, it's interesting you bring that up. Max Bruch arranged the Kol Nidre for cello and piano, and it's often played with cello and orchestra, but he arranged it. He was a classical composer, and he arranged it. It's a beautiful arrangement, and a lot of times, I've been in synagogues years ago where it was an annual event to play it for slichot, where you can use instruments, and many congregations play that particular composition of Max Bruch for slichot. But I don't think the composer of Kol Nidre is known. It's that old of a tune that I could be wrong. It's not, I'm not the authority on that. But it's interesting that you bring that piece up because it's a beautiful piece. So if you've never ever heard it, you can probably YouTube it. YouTube Max Bruch Kol Nidre, and it's a beautiful piece. But I might have interrupted you, Art. Did you want to say a little bit more?
No, it's okay. I said my little piece. That's
okay.
But
any other thoughts about the serious nature of Kol Nidre?
I feel the brighter songs that you highlighted have a sense of a German composition. I don't know why, but it seems like it bounces along. It's not what I consider to be Eastern European, really. It's more Central Europe.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Again, maybe I'll spend this next year, my free moments to look up some of the origins and report back to you all next year. So, the other thing too, the little note that I made about Kol Nidre is this is, although officially I know the gates don't close until Hoshana Rabbah, we always think about the gates closing on Yom Kippur. So again, the seriousness of what's going on is reflected in the tune. Okay. Any other thoughts from anybody on major minor and any of these examples? Okay, so Ken, do we have is the poll working or not yet?
Unfortunately not. Best laid plans.
Okay. So I guess we'll do this instead. What I wanted to do, let me turn to the next slide. Okay. I wanted to talk about Nusach, which is the melody combined with the mode that's used in a particular service. And first start by saying that I think the reason we have Nusach is to be able to distinguish between, first of all, times of year, right? The Nusach that we use on the High Holidays is different from any other time of year. But furthermore, to distinguish one service from another. So that the idea of Nusach is that if you really know your Nusach, you could walk into a service, if you happen to walk in late for some reason, without really even hearing the specific words, just by hearing the sound of the service, you would know exactly what service you're in. And so, the creators of our liturgy and the tunes and the sounds that go with it wanted to definitely make a distinction between not only one day and another, but between one service and another. So what I thought we'd try here, and we were going to do this through a poll, which would have been fun, but so maybe we'll try something like that next year. But I'm going to sing. So there's 5 different Chatzi Kaddish. Kaddish. Rabbi, what's the plural of Kaddish? Can you, or does anybody know?
Unmute, Rabbi.
Great question. Kiddushim, probably.
Kiddushim?
Or
Okay.
Kaddishim. Kaddishim.
I don't know. Because saying Kaddishes doesn't sound so good. So
No.
Kaddishim? Okay. So anyway, there's 5 of them. And that we hear throughout the course of the High Holidays. We hear one for Erev Rosh Hashanah and Erev Yom Kippur for Ma'ariv. We hear one for Shacharit for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We hear one for Musaf for the 2 days. And then we have there's actually a different sounding Kaddish for Yom Kippur Mincha, and one also for Ne'ilah that's traditionally used. So what I thought I would do is sing a bit of one of these. And the idea of the poll was we were going to see what you thought, which service you thought it went with. But instead of that, I'll sing some of it, and then afterwards, let's see if somebody wants to just lay themselves out there, put themselves on the spot, and see if you can tell which service this comes from. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm gonna start. Well, I don't know if easy is the right word, but I'm gonna start with one that I think is a very familiar tune, and it's just a matter of pinpointing which service it comes from. Okay, so here's the first one. Yitkadash ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah Yamim ha'divra'kirutei Yamlich malchutei. And here's the tune we all join in on. V'chayefonu b'yomecho u'kayedecho b'Yisrael v'agalahu b'zman karib b'Yisrael. Amen. Okay, so which service? Any takers?
I'm going to say Musaf.
Very good. Who is that? I'm sorry.
It was Marty.
Hi, Marty. Very, very good. That was Musaf. So let's highlight that one so that we don't answer that one again, because I'm not gonna pull any tricks and repeat. Okay. Let's go with a little harder one next. Okay, let's go with a little harder one next. So for this one, I have to actually refer to my notes. So let's see. Don't look at where I am in the book. Okay. No cheating. Okay, ready? I'll preface this with, the reason this one's going to be harder is I'm not sure, I'm not sure how well known it is, but and I'll credit who I learned this from. I learned this from my main teacher of the High Holiday Liturgy, who is Cantor William Lipson, Zichrono Livracha. And maybe I'll tell you a little story, a couple of funny stories that he used to tell me later about the High Holidays. But Cantor Lipson was the cantor at Beth David in Miami for about 30 years, I believe, 30 to 35 years. And I met him when he was retired, when we all moved back to Boca Raton after I was in Austin for 5 years. And we attended B'nai Torah for a while, and he came, I think, just once a week for Minyan on Thursday mornings. I met him, and I had actually heard him as in my late teens and early 20s when we attended Beth David in Miami. So I heard him as a cantor for many years, and recognized his name, met him, introduced myself, and I needed to learn the High Holiday Liturgy because I hadn't learned the High Holiday Liturgy yet from my cantor in Austin, Texas. So so we got together, and I learned from him for about 3 years. And he was my main source for High Holiday Liturgy and Nusach and tunes. So so I learned this particular Chatzi Kaddish from him. So here's how it goes. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Bi'alma Divarakirutei V'yamlich Malkutei V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayedabal Beit Yisrael V'galav Izman Karib V'imru Amen. Anybody ever heard that one? I'll give you a hint. I sang it 2 years ago at Bethon. So anybody know?
So that if you did it 2 years ago, the only one that would have been Shachrit.
Nope, I did one other service.
I'm going to say Mincha.
That's what it is. It's Yom Kippur Mincha. It's Yom Kippur Mincha. I did Mincha that year too, when Cantor Agar was our cantor that year, and
Right, yeah.
I think I did Mincha. Yeah, so that was Yom Kippur Mincha, and I had when I had to do it 2 years ago, I had to go back and relearn it because I hadn't done it for a while. So I went back to my believe it or not cassette tapes. Anybody know what those are? That's what I have all of my learning that I did from Cantor Lipson. I have it all recorded on cassette tapes. So I still have a cassette player.
Scott, don't feel so bad. All of my High Holiday stuff is also on a cassette.
Yeah. Okay, let's try another one. Let's see. Hang on, I'm going to mute myself for a minute so I can get into it. Can I mute myself, Ken?
Yeah, you should be.
Hang on 1 second. Okay, I got it now. Right? I had to sing the stuff before it. Here we go. Yikada, Shemei Rabbah, Vialema divra kirute, viamli, malkute, bachayechon, uvyomechon, uchayet Beit Israel. Everybody know what's coming? Visman Karib, Amen. So that one is
It's Marif.
Myra, right? That one's Myra. That's the first tune we hear for the High Holidays. Okay. So all right. Now we have two left. Okay, we have two left. So let's see. I'll do this one again. This is, well, both of these tunes that are left. These are the tunes that I learned from my cantor, right? From Cantor Lipson. Right? Let's see. Okay. Yitkahadal v'yitkadash merabah. V'halema divra kirute v'yamlik malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon u'chayet Beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv imru Amen. It's down to 50-50.
Can I phone a friend?
Can you phone? Sure, you can phone a friend. Yeah, why not? Nobody raising their hand on this one? Yeah, this is not one of the more familiar ones. Marty's Silvernick is raising his hand. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, I'm going to try Neela.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I'm going to sing the other one, right? So I just sang you one of the two. I'm going to sing the other one, and then you can tell me which is which, okay? So here's the other one. Yitkadal v'yitkadash merabah Yamadi v'akirute v'yamlik malkute b'chayechon uv'yomechon u'chayet Beit Israel v'gala v'zman kariv imru Amen. So let's go back to Marty. Which you want to pick now? Which one was that one?
Okay, I'm going to reverse my decision. I'm going to say that one was Neela and the other one was Shacharit.
That's right. The one I just did is sort of a traditional way of doing the Neila Kaddish, as well as the opening brachot for the Amidah, and then the earlier one was the Shacharit one, which you're all hopefully going to hear this year, whether it's in person or on the live stream, because these are the tunes, the melodies I'm going to use for the various Kaddishim, right? So that was our tour through the Nusach for the 5 services. And by the way, many of the tunes within the services reflect those tunes that we just heard in each Kaddish. Of course, there's variances, but those are the tunes and the Nusach that dominates the service. Any questions or thoughts about that?
I don't see any.
Okay. So looks like we have about 20 minutes left, and that's okay. My last topic for today was just going to be to talk about some favorite tunes for the High Holidays, and I listed a few here. So actually, while you all are thinking about your favorite tunes, and if you want to share a favorite tune, please do in a few moments. One thing interesting about this year, since unfortunately we don't have a choir, I really loved working with the choir last year, and I look forward to working with them again in the future. If somebody sings a favorite tune this year on this class today that I really like, I have the ability to sing it in services this year because we're not bound by any particular arrangements. So you know, if you really love a tune, sing it, and if I can remember it, if I like it, you know, and there's 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, so I can always vary between the 2 days. So you know, let's hear from you. But I thought I would tell a little funny story about the Aleinu. So I know a little bit of the history of Aleinu, and that Aleinu actually originated with Rosh Hashanah, right? In the first of the 3 parts of the extra parts in the Rosh Hashanah Musaf called Malchuyot. It originated as part of that service, and I guess we believe that the tune that went with the Aleinu in that service is the one that goes Naleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol. Right, so that's the traditional Aleinu tune for Rosh Hashanah Musaf and Malchuyot. As opposed to the regular Aleinu tune we do at the end of every service, and Aleinu was added to the end of every service later than when it was used in the Rosh Hashanah Malchuyot section. So my funny story is so I think Cantor Lipson, you know, again he was very endearing man. He was so nice to me in what he taught me, and he always had to throw in some funny stories, which I appreciated. And one that I heard a couple times was so I think, you know, he might have had a little trouble with authority, right? Authority at his shul, his congregation, because he tells a story that they had a high holiday review amongst I guess maybe the board and himself and the rabbi after the high holidays. Do we have that at Beth? Yeah, we do. Okay.
We try to, yeah.
Okay. And so one of the people at this particular meeting raised his hand and he said, Cantor, about the Aleinu, why did you change the tune? Because he used the traditional Aleinu tune for Malchuyot and not the one that this particular person is used to at the end of the service. You know, Aleinu Shabbat Lado, right? And then he threw in something else. He says, and also, what were you doing down there on the ground? So I always remember that story because I just think it was very funny. So I gave you a little bit of time. Does anybody want to talk about their favorite tunes for any of these pieces, or even something else? But these were some of the ones that we traditionally have a lot of favorite and familiar tunes for. And if not, we can just sort of sing through some of these. But anything that anybody has a favorite of? No hands yet? Okay. Well, let me start singing. Oh, go ahead. Sandy and Paul.
Well, go ahead.
Hayom Harat Olam by Craig Taubman.
Ah, I probably don't know that one. Do you know how it goes?
Hayom Harat Olam, Hayom Ya Midbapa, Kol Yetzur, Re Olamim, Im Kamadim, Im Kavadim, Im Kevanim, Rachamenu, Kirachem Abanim. And it goes on, but it's really pretty.
Very, very pretty. Very pretty. Craig Taubman's written some beautiful, beautiful stuff. But I have one question. How come you guys aren't in the choir?
Because we're
in Pennsylvania.
Oh man, that's not fair. Okay. Yeah, the
Mark
one
said the same thing.
So I can sing you a little bit of the Hayom Harat Olam that I plan on using if we have time this year, because the rabbi and I haven't really discussed what we're going to have time to do this year. But the tune that I've used in the past is It's very similar actually to the Hayom Tamseinu tune in certain ways, but if I'm not careful, I mix them up. But here's how the Hayom Harat Olam that I've used before goes. This one is actually by Saul Zim. This what I'm about to do is by Saul Zim. Hayom 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 Harat Olam Hayom 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 Harat Olam Hayom 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 Ya'amid B'Hamishpat Hayom 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 Kol Yitzurei Olamim. That's very peppy. The choir and I did that last year, so that was a lot of fun. Other tunes, or should I do a few? So there's a few for Zachrenu, at least, well, two that I know, but the one that I usually use is this one. Zachrenu lefahim, lefafetz v'hafahim, v'kotvenu b'sefer ha'chayim, l'man Elohim chayim. Does anybody know a different one? I know one other one. The other one I know, and by the way, that was minor. The other one I know is minor also. It goes Zachrenu lechayim melechafetz v'chayim. I don't know it too well, so I don't know if beyond there. But that's another one that I've heard. Okay. The Sefer Chaim. The Sefer Chaim.
Yeah, it's
Page 91, the one I used for that one is the Sefer Chaim Beraka B'Shalom Uparnasa Tova Nizaleh V'Nigateh V'Panecha. Any other Sefer Chaims that anybody knows?
Yes.
Okay. So Avinu Malkeinu, there's of course the traditional congregational tune that we use many times. We'll hear it on Slichot and throughout the High Holidays, right? The Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Ahanenu, etc. But there's also a tune that I've injected into the Avinu Malkeinus that we do at the end of the morning services, typically at the end of Rosh Hashanah, and I think also on Kol Nidre Eve, that's written by Max Janowski. And I think I might wait and let you hear it when we get to the services, but it became very familiar because it was recorded by Barbra Streisand. So if anybody's, oh no, sorry. It was recorded by Barbra Streisand for use in Shema Kolenu, but there's an overlap in some of the words. So so anyway, the tune that you'll hear for the middle of Avinu Malkeinu is going to be the one by Max Janowski. Okay. Now, for Rosh Hashanah, that one I know probably everybody has their own personal favorite because there's many tunes for Rosh Hashanah. I've gotten to favor the one, and this is the one we used last year that Tracy sang along with me, and I've gotten to favor the one by Mayor Finkelstein that goes. The Rosh Hashanah Yikatevun Uvyom Tzom Kippur Yekatemun The Rosh Hashanah Yikatevun Uvyom Tzom Kippur Yekatemun. But there's many others, right? Many other traditional ones. Does anybody want to sing one of their favorites?
Okay, go ahead, Artie.
בראש השנה יכסהו, וביום צום כיפור יחסמו, כמו יברון וכמו יבריון.
Very nice, Art. Very nice. I like that. I like that one too. I think that's a very popular one. Anybody know any others? I know one other from my cantor. At least one other. The one that Cantor Lipson taught me is a very upbeat one. Though I think it's still in minor. It's Berosh Hashanah Yikatevun Yikatevun Uyam Tzom Kippur Yekatemun Yekatemun. Anybody ever heard that one? I saw Ken, you were shaking your head. Yeah. And I'm sure there's many more. Let's see, what else we have here. So of course, for Yala this year, we're going to continue to do the traditional tune that, as I understand, you've been doing it at Betham for many years. So we're going to do that. I learned it last year. I didn't know it before. I learned it last year, and when Art and I did it, and it's very, very lovely, and I really, definitely something that I look forward to each year. So we'll be doing that one.
Scott?
Yeah, Judy?
Yeah, the Ya'ala. When I was in the choir 100 years ago, this always brings back memories whenever it's sung every year, because one of our congregants, and I forgot his last name, Sam, right?
I think it's Gruda? Gruda?
Yes, he would sing it every year.
Sam Gruda.
Yes.
You want to hear a little bit of it? Let's see.
Sure.
If I can do it. I'll do. Yala koleinu, Yala koleinu, me'arav. That's the opening of it. It's very, very beautiful chant. And then it's offset with some other like contrasting tunes, but it's very, very, very beautiful. I do have a funny Yala story though that I just thought of, and I can also sing you another version of a part of Yala that I learned from Cantor Lipson. Let me get the page though for it. 223. Going back to the story that I was telling you earlier when I met Cantor Lipson at Minyan one Thursday morning at B'nai Torah, I was telling him that I heard him for many, many high holidays, and I remembered a lot of his tunes. And he said to me, "Oh, so which one, did you remember? Was it Hineni?" And I said, "No, actually, it was." I'm not even sure if I knew. Well, I think I knew it was called Yala at that time, but the part of the tune that really stood out for me that I heard him do every year was the third line, the V'yeh Ra'eh, because he did it with his choir, and it was just so upbeat and fun when he did it with his choir. And it went. I'll sing it for you so you can hear how this V'yeh Ra'eh went. It went like this. V'yeh Ra'eh, V'yeh Ra'eh V'yeh Ra'eh Adarev, and then as Cantor he would go Adarev, V'yeh Ra'eh. The choir, this would be the choir part. V'yeh Ra'eh V'yeh Ra'eh Adarev. So I think he was very surprised that I had remembered that particular tune, and not something maybe that was a little bit more mainstream, but that tune always stuck in my head through once I heard it. Any other tunes or Did anybody that has stuck with anybody over the years that you want to share? Oh, somebody, Robert has his hand up, I think.
We are not familiar with Hanashamalach. Where in the service is that, and what is the tune?
Okay, so I'll turn to, let me turn to the tune, but it occurs two places. So it's part of the Slichot liturgy, so therefore it occurs on Slichot night, and it also occurs in the Slichot liturgy that we chant and utilize in the Musaf. Well, actually, I guess it's every Yom Kippur service, all five. Is that the right number? I think so. All 5 Yom Kippur services. So the tune that the choir sings and that I'll use this year for Slichot and for Yom Kippur, the tune the choir sings is Hanesha Malach Ve'aguf Olach Husa Husa Alamala Hanesha Malach Ve'aguf Shalach Hashem Aseh Leman Shemecha. There's another one that my daughter was reviewing with me that I like a lot too, and I don't, now having sung this one, I don't know if I can remember that one, but unless she wants to jump on and sing it, I think she's on. But that's a you know, oh, that's actually a Karlbach melody. So that Hanisham Malach was by Shlomo Karlbach, according to the music.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Scott, Larry Sturm had his hand up before.
Okay, go ahead, Larry.
Oops, sorry.
You're
Sorry,
muted, Larry. You're muted. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Even though the choir has sang it over and over, I always like Susha Orim because you don't hear it any other time, repeat it so many times. It's something you just remember. And it's a happy time. The Torah is going around, and I always liked it. We sang with my wife, with my daughter, with our friends for years and years and years.
So that's a right? And
yeah.
But actually, when we were in shul, right, as a congregation, I would also use that same tune when we go around with the Torah for you know, on non-Shabbat holidays, because that's what we do for the Torah service for other other regalim. So so you'll hear that still throughout the year. So and hopefully we'll be back in shul sometime relatively soon, so that we can all hear it together. So I think, let's see, it's 4:30. Does anybody have any other? And I know there's afternoon minyan in a little while. Does anybody else have any thoughts or anything they want to add to anything that we discussed today? So Judy, Judy has something, and after that I'll throw it back to Judy as well. So
yeah,
Judy?
Scott, I was just wondering, how do you adapt the music to your other tunes? It always seems to come out so perfectly, you know, when you pick show tunes or pop music.
Well, I guess, you know, I have a little bit of knack for it in that, you know, I can, if I know the tune that I'm using well enough, I can adjust it to the words. Of course, it always helps to know it in advance a little bit too. So, you know, usually comes out best if I know it in advance and I practice it a little bit. So if any of you were listening in 2 Shabbatot ago, you heard for Adon Olam, you heard You'll Be Back from Hamilton.
Yeah.
That took quite a lot of work because it's not an easy tune. So my daughter helped me out with that one, and I listened to the CD a lot, and I actually had to notate the music so that I could fit it to the Adon Olam words. But that was especially hard. But you know, if a tune just really though is, you know, something I know pretty well, I guess I could just find ways with just a little bit of prep to fit it to the words. I have a lot of fun doing that. I enjoy that.
Judy, just so you know, I gave Scott a heads up on that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Scott.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken, for not hitting me on the spot with that one.
No, I never would have done that to you, Scott.
Scott, I just want to say something.
Sure, Frida.
Thank you very, very much for this. I wasn't even, at first I wasn't going to come on it, but even though the tunes have been familiar, I really learned a lot today, things that I didn't know, and I'm really looking forward to hearing you on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and it's going to have a little more meaning for me. So I don't know how everybody else feels, but thank you very, very much for doing this. It's been a great pleasure, and I really have learned a lot. I really have learned a lot, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Frida. Well, I enjoyed doing it, and hopefully we can make this an annual event, and we'll pick, you know, maybe some of the same topics next year, but some different topics. And if I go do my homework and find out a little bit more about the origin of the tunes, then I'll share that with you all. So I would love to make this an annual event. So Judy, I'll turn the floor back over to you.
thank you. And we would love for you to do this annually, and hopefully we'll be in person next to each other.
Yeah, well, yeah, this would be great to do it. Well, you know, maybe in the future I don't know what thoughts are, but things that we do in the congregation, especially, you know, when it's not Shabbat or holidays, maybe we'll stream it also to people who can't be there but want to participate. Maybe we'll have the ability to do both. So
Right. I think you're right. I think people are rethinking things now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Scott. I also learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody else did. And we're all looking forward to the High Holy Days with you. We really appreciate this. So Ken, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Scott. Everybody, please stay on board. We daven mincha in 25 minutes. So I'm just going to leave this up. Everybody can schmooze for a little while. You can unmute yourself and have a good time. Scott, unshare your screen, please.
God, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome, everybody, and I hope to see you all as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you,
Have a good
Scott.
afternoon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Maybe you can do something like that during the week for some of the Shabbat for services. Because, you know, we go through